Bom dia, Lisiane.
Bom dia.
How are you?
I'm good, and you?
Good, good. Thank you. Lisi, thank you very much for being with me this morning and to record this interview for everybody who sent all their questions and wanted to know more about conscious parenting. Yeah? So,
Thank you for having me.
oh, that's great, Lisi. I know you're very busy with your little girl, so I don't want to take too much of your time. Lisi, I know a lot of people from the group, from the yoga group, know you because you have been in yoga classes with them. We've been all together in the same room practicing yoga. But can you introduce yourself a little bit more? Tell us a little bit more about yourself, what you're doing, and all this beautiful project that you are putting together since a few years back.
So I'm Lisi Toffer. I'm a mother of two beautiful girls. And I'm also a private home daycare provider. I have graduated in architecture in 2006. I don't know if you know that, Claudia.
I think so. I think you mentioned it before. Yeah.
Yeah. So my background is in architecture, but I wasn't happy with my career choice back then. And I was looking for something more enjoyable and something that was more meaningful for me. And that's when I came across early childhood education and home daycares. When I decided to open my own daycare, I did all the CCPRN courses. So CCPRN is Child Care Providers Resource Network. So they give many courses and they give support to home child care providers. And I read all the books about childhood education and parenting. I learned all about many philosophies like Montessori, Waldorf, Rye, positive discipline, conscious parenting, and all those. And I fell in love with it. And I knew I wanted to find a balance, something in the middle. I knew I didn't want to be an authoritarian caregiver or a parent, and I also knew I didn't want to be permissive. So I was trying to find the balance. And I also don't believe in dogma and one size fits all. So I found a balance in all those philosophies. I believe in respectable approach parenting and early childhood education, and conscious parenting and conscious disciplines are part of it. And I also, in a year or 2 years ago, I started a YouTube channel where I can share all that I have learned in those years. I've been daycare provider for the last 10 years, a little bit over 10 years. So in this channel, it's all in Portuguese because it's all going towards the Brazilian community, because I believe they would need more, because there are a lot of books that I read that they don't have it in Portuguese. They don't have the translation. So we have all this resource here in Canada and US that I'm trying to bring it to Brazil as well.
Yeah, that's great. I really like that. You know what? I really agree with you that certain subjects or certain books or certain publications or philosophies are not translated into our languages. For instance, in my case, it's Spanish. So when I read something and I don't find that literature in Spanish, I'm like, oh, this is it's a good project to start exploring, and so people start opening their eyes and saying, oh, this is something new that we can do. This is something that in Canada they do it. Before we continue with the questions, can you explain us specifically the meaning of conscious parenting? Because when you mention, I use that word when it comes to mantra meditation and yoga and breathing and conscious movement. That's some of the philosophy behind my yoga classes. But when you mention it about conscious parenting, and I've also heard about conscious eating and all that, so I want to know that a little bit more about that concept, because I think that those two words together are pretty much explaining all that philosophy that you really love. So
yes.
Can you explain us a little bit more about that?
Yes, sure. And I'm going to explain a bit of conscious parenting and also conscious discipline.
Okay.
They are similar, but they are different. So
yeah. Great.
So conscious parenting is not a set of rules for parents to follow, but it's a set of beliefs about children's needs, about what children need to develop and thrive.
Mm-hmm.
So conscious parents engage and connect with their children using emotional intelligent discipline choices rather than punitive methods, because the brain thrives on connection and empathy. And Dr. Shafali talks a lot about it, and I do recommend those two books. That's the Conscious Parenting book from Dr. Shafali. So her name is here, and I can put her name on the comments.
Okay, that's perfect. So we can access the book.
Yeah, and that's also another great book that she has. That's the Awakened Family.
Okay, that's great.
And she talks more about that in the books. It's a great resource for parents. And conscious discipline is taught by Dr. Becky Bailey, and it's a comprehensive classroom management program and social emotional curriculum. So it's more towards the teachers, but also parents can learn a lot from her. It's based on current brain research, child development information, and developmentally appropriated practice. So conscious discipline has been designed to make change in the lives of the adults first. Yes. And same with conscious parenting. They're both focusing on our perception and our consciousness in relation to our kids' behavior, instead of just changing the kids' behavior. Mm-hmm. Meaning that when we understand our kids' behavior, we can respond to them instead of react, and therefore teach them better skills to deal with their emotions and change their behaviors. So instead of changing the kid, we change ourselves first to be able to help the kid change their behavior.
Lisi, it sounds. Thank you. It sounds like it's a lot of self-observation involved.
It is.
Yeah. When we talk about consciousness, we definitely have to talk about, I'm sorry, I always refer to yoga, but this is what I know.
Yes, of course. I always refer to children, so.
Yeah, because that's what you love and know. So yes. In yoga, when we talk about consciousness, we talk a lot about self-observation and self-knowledge. And we have a term for that, svayaya, which means self-observation and learning to understand our own, how our mind works, how our emotions, how to work with our emotions and our habits, things that we say, things that we do, how we behave with others, with the environment around us. So it seems like it has a lot to do, again, with that huge awakening that we believe we're all experiencing right now, of awakening that consciousness and observing ourselves before we step in and start telling the kids, oh, you should be doing this and should be doing that. Because I think it will come if you are self-observant of your own behaviors and emotions. When you are going to interact with your family or other people or even your kids, you're coming from a better place.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
That's exactly it. Yes.
That's great, Lisi. Wonderful. I love that you're giving us all this information about the books. I'm like, ready to start reading all those books. I love that. Yummy. Some members of the group sent some questions. At this time of the year, everybody's very busy with homeschooling and juggling work and homeschooling and all that. But I want to work with the questions a little bit and then probably ask you some questions that I have in my mind about homeschooling and things like that I would like to ask if you don't mind. She said, or this person said, how to deal with a 5-year-old when she is not accepting the word no. And she starts fighting back. So what's going on here? And can you just give us a little bit of the point of view about this one?
So it's a great question.
Yes,
it is a great question. And I'm sure it's one that a lot of parents have. And let me assure you that this is a very common and normal behavior for a 5-year-old and even younger than that. And when we understand that, it makes it a little easier for us to respond to our kid instead of react to their behavior. Mm-hmm. So here we need to understand that her brain is still developing, and that what's happening between the mom and the kid is probably a power struggle. The child is looking to have some power in her life, something that she can control in her life. And there is not much that a 5-year-old can control, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying that you should let her control your life or control your house, not at all. No. I'm not just suggesting that you give her control of, I'm just suggesting that you give her control of something will help her fulfill this need of control. And how do we give control without letting them rule the house?
Mm-hmm. How do we do that? I was going to start.
Yeah. We give her options. Okay. So, for example, my kids have a hard time coming inside the house when they're playing with their kids and it's time to go inside. So one of the things that we can do is just give choices. Do you want to come inside jumping, or do you want to come inside running? Do you want me to serve you food, or do you want to serve food yourself? At dinner time, they don't want to eat. So the option is not you cannot eat, but do you want to eat by yourself, or do you want me to serve you the food? Do you want to take a bath before dinner or after dinner? So bath is something that you're gonna have to do, but you can choose between dinner, before dinner, or after dinner. Just some examples that came to my mind.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I think it's part of that development where the brain needs a stimulation and they need to make decisions and feel that they are empowered and they have something to say and they can make a decision. So I think that's a great concept, Lisi, and sometimes we forget, and actually I completely forgot about it. So I think that concept will really help this little 5-year-old.
Yes, and also you have to know what is negotiable in your house and what is not negotiable in your house. So you have to think about that before you give the choices. You don't want to tell her, okay, you have to eat. You want a chocolate or banana if you're not going to get the chocolate.
Oh, that's right. So do you want an apple or a banana?
Yeah.
Yeah, choices that you can deal with, both of them.
Yes.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
And again, you need to know your values and your boundaries that you want to enforce. So, for example, wearing a helmet to go biking, and it's not negotiable in my house.
Yes.
However, they can choose if they want to take their bikes or their scooters when we go out. Going to bed at 7:30 or 8 now, 8:30. It's not negotiable. However, my girls can choose how many books they read before bed. So, and it's important to be consistent and follow through with what you say. If you say she cannot have chocolate before lunch, you have to follow through that. It doesn't matter how upset she gets and how much she pushes or fights. You can understand her feelings. You can understand she's upset and she's mad. And that's okay to be upset, but she cannot have chocolate before dinner or before lunch. But don't give in to her demand just because she's upset. Otherwise, she will learn that that's how she gets what she wants. And you can give her choices here as well. You can give her choices. Sorry, baby, I know I can see you're hungry, so you want to have an apple or a banana, but you're gonna have chocolate after dinner or after lunch.
After lunch, yeah, that's right. So give them choices that you can deal with both choices, either like if they choose choice number 1 or number 2, you have to be able to deal with that. Like it's something that you have to deal with it. Understanding your own values and
yes.
Yeah.
And
so
boundaries.
Want to achieve with that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm guessing here that her not accepting the word no is a big trigger for the parent as well. Well, I know it's a big trigger for me. When my daughter, yeah. So when I'm telling my daughter it's time to go inside for dinner, and she gives me a big no, I'm not going. I know I get triggered, and my immediate reaction is to say, "What? No? What do you mean no? I'm your mother. You better listen to me." And I'm not saying that's what this mother does, but I'm saying that that's my reaction, my trigger. So the way I will answer the question is also in a way that we can all use to deal with our triggers, not just the big no from her daughter, but also when they are whining or crying or they are saying, "Mama, mama, mama," 1,000 times during the day. I don't know, whatever your
I think I've heard that before.
Yeah, whatever your trigger is. From conscious parenting, we learn that our triggers come from mainly from our childhood. And Dr. Shefali encourages us to seek the root of our triggers to be able to heal it and make peace with it. And as a consequence, deal with those triggers in a more responsive way, less reactive way. Mm-hmm. And from the conscious discipline, Dr. Bailey also believes our triggers come from our childhood. Mm-hmm. And she believes that if we are able to respond in a conscious way, not reacting, but responding, we can heal those triggers in ourselves and change the path for coming generations. And I also believe that. And what Dr. Bailey teaches, that I use a lot with the kids that I work with, and also I use with my kids, and it makes a big difference, is to stop, breathe, and relax. Mm-hmm. So when you get the trigger, instead of reacting, you stop, you give some time, and you breathe. And sometimes we have to breathe 3 times, 4 times. Mm-hmm. At the beginning when we start doing that, and relax. And if your mind starts producing those thoughts, you start thinking things like, I'm not letting her talk to me like that, or who does she think she is? I'm her mother. I control things over here. Or even, I do everything for this family. I don't know why they are treating me like this. Mm-hmm. So when those thoughts start coming, to our minds, what Dr. Bailey teaches is to replace those thoughts with, I'm calm, I'm secure, and I can handle this. So that's what I do. I stop, I breathe, and I think, I'm calm, I'm secure, and I can handle this. And sometimes I have to say that 3 times mm-hmm. just to be calm. But that helps me be conscious and be present and be able to respond to my kids in a way that is not reactive. And then you can talk to your kid and give her choices and attend her needs.
Okay. So it's observing yourself, telling yourself, I'm okay, I'm calm, breathe, like what you do in yoga class.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And yoga helps a lot. Helps me a lot. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. That's something that I honestly, it's yoga off the mat for sure.
Yes.
And then, then after you relax yourself and you're conscious about what's going on in the moment, and you will be like, this is much better, I feel. That's a great thought. Very wonderful, Lisi. Another mom asked questions about ideas or resources for activities to prepare the kids for kindergarten. So I know a lot of kids are coming to school in September. I don't know if this is gonna happen for that, but if it happens, what would be the best activities or I don't know, or games or ideas that moms can prepare at home so to get the kids ready for kindergarten, to start school? Or do you have any ideas or resources that you want to share with us, Lisi?
That's a great question also. It's one of the questions that I get from parents all the time, especially the parents that I work with, as it's one of my jobs with the kids that I work with to prepare mm-hmm. them for kindergarten. And there is the academic part of getting ready, which is, in my opinion, it's the easiest one to work with the kids. So things like, the alphabet, recognizing their names, know how to write the letters of their names, how to write their name, counting, recognizing numbers, and those kind of things. There are plenty of activities and ideas online. I'm not going to talk much about that mm-hmm. Here, but I think most parents don't realize is that there are more than academics, and there are other skills that are not so obvious that our kids need to get ready for kindergarten. And skills like, and before I tell you about the skills, one thing that you can also do to help your child transition better to kindergarten is to have a routine. Routine is so important, and kids thrive in a predictable environment. They will have a routine in kindergarten, and if they can have a similar, or they can have some kind of routine at home before going to school, that will help a lot. So going back to the skills that they need, that are not academic skills, things like playing independently or focusing for at least for 10 minutes at a time. Some physical development areas like getting dressed by themselves, getting their snowsuit or getting their jackets on and off, zipping it up, taking it out, putting their shoes on, getting their shoes off, managing bathroom needs by themselves. That's very important and something that a lot of parents don't think about it. Follow directions, like simple and multiple part directions. For example, take your shoes off and leave the lunchbox on the table and sit on the mat. So that's a 3-part direction. Help clean up. Being able to clean up is a great asset in a kindergarten. Listening to the stories without interrupting, and separating from parents easily. Those are some of the skills that will help kindergartens. They are not academic skills, but will help them a lot to learn the academics, to learn their ABCs and numbers.
Yeah. Are they what we would call, or I was reading about soft skills, like skills that they're more like engraved or in your personality and the way you behave and manage your environment? That's what I think they are mostly. Yeah?
Yeah,
There's something similar to that. Yeah.
Yes, and you can teach them, and those are skills that you can teach, and you should help them do and practice. That's how they learn that. They learn that by doing and practicing. So let your kid get dressed by themselves, even if you have to start getting dressed 30 minutes earlier, because they do take a long time, especially at the beginning. But if they don't have that experience, if they don't put their jackets on, they will not learn how to put their jackets on, and they will have a harder time at kindergarten. And you can make games with those. You can make games with clothes, like get some jackets and let the kids play with the zipper as they open, and they do like it. They are learning. They are playing open and close. Give them time to get dressed by themselves, as I said. Let your child use the lunchbox a month before they start school. That's one of the things that I like to do with my daycare kids. They bring their backpacks with their lunchbox in it, and we practice getting the lunchbox out of the backpack and practice opening the container of food. And you don't think, I didn't think my kid needs to learn that. But yeah, a lot of kids can't open the containers, so we have to practice. And we practice putting it back in the backpack, getting everything, putting it back in the lunchbox, and then putting back in the backpack after we are done.
Yeah.
So yeah, practicing our letters and numbers and how to write our names, but also practice some self-care and independence.
That will relieve a lot of the stress and anxiety that they do get stressed and anxious too. Even though they don't seem like they're stressed or anxious, they do get anxious.
Yeah.
Now that you were telling me all this, I remembered that this little boy that was coming to my home daycare, he was getting ready for kindergarten to go to school. Yeah. So he was kind of confused where he will take the bus and how things will be happening. So we painted a map, like a treasure map.
Yes.
And then we just went, we're gonna get ready for, put our jacket on and get dressed and grab our backpack. We're gonna walk to this corner and we're gonna play a little before the bus comes, and then we're gonna get on the bus. We'll get at school, and then I draw a map, and he was drawing it with me, and then we were writing words underneath, and then he had this big map of how, with lots of colors and drawings of how things were gonna happen in the morning before he would go to school and after school. Yeah. And
yes,
he was with a big smile in he's like, I got a map. I know this. Yay. It's just exciting. That's very excited about it.
And he knows what's coming up. So
They
it's not a surprise. They don't get anxious because they already know what's coming up.
Yeah, it's very beautiful to see that when they're like, oh, yay, I got it. I understand what's going on. Yeah, that's wonderful. They're such a smart little kids. Oh, yeah. So these times that we spend so much time in front of the computer and so much access to technology and all that, I think this is not one of the questions, but do you have something to be like, to keep the kids safer in front of the computer, or for the amount, what's the healthier amount of time that we should keep our kids in front of the computer? Even though I don't, before 5 to 6, I never let my kids to be in front of YouTube and all those things. So do you have any tips, couple of tips?
That's a hard one for now.
Yes.
Because we are all stuck at home, and a lot of parents are working from home, and their kids are there, and they have to work, they have to attend a meeting, and they don't have a choice. Well, it's very hard. So in a normal life before pandemic, I would say that that's what the recommendation is, that before 2 years old, they have no TV, they have no screens, and that's not just TV, that's cell phone and iPads and TV. That they don't benefit for that, and especially when you think about language, there are a lot of studies that shows that there is kids that spend too much time, especially the younger kids that spend too much time in front of screens, have a development problem, language problem in the future. So I would not recommend a 2-year-old and younger to be in front of the TV. And 2 to 5 or 2 to 4, I don't remember the numbers exactly, but I think it's 1 hour or 2 hours a day, or I think it's 1 hour a day. And I will say that it depends on the kid also. So for example, for my older kid, for Gigi, she gets so focused on the screen that it's very hard for her to stop. So every time that time's up, it's time to turn off the TV, it's a power struggle. And it was a lot of power struggle before when she was younger. We don't watch much TV at our home, so we don't let them watch also. But of course, we do here and there. Don't want to, not like no scream at all, but we try to minimize it. And it was a big power struggle. So when I got limits set, so okay, we're gonna watch TV Saturdays, only on the weekends. For her, it was like that, only on the weekends. And I talked to her and explained to her why that was happening. Of course, she complained a bit, but I followed through with my word. And now she knows it's only on the weekends. Well, not now, because now it's pandemic time, so it's things have changed. So it's very hard to say that now how much time to spend on the TV. It depends on the family, depends how much work the parent needs to do. Try to encourage independent play as much as possible. That's what I would recommend.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much, Lisi. Yeah, we're all struggling with that one. Connecting with nature. Most of us, we really love the summer and spring and all the stations in Canada, especially because you can discover nature so beautifully. And then at this time that, again, we at home and all that. So how do we can just safely, do you have any tips or ideas of how to safely interact a little bit more outdoors, so we counteract all the screen time or time that we spend?
Our connecting with nature is very important. I also believe that it's one of the things that you should be doing, if you should be doing every day. And just getting outside, just getting some fresh air. And I believe we can still enjoy the outside during this pandemic. Yeah, we have to be conscious of ticks and sunburns and mosquitoes and all that. But if we are conscious, if we are prepared, be prepared for that and enjoy as much as you can. Early morning is great for nature walks. And even in your backyard, if you have a backyard, it's important for the kids to be able to enjoy unstructured outside play and exploration. And there is so much they can learn outside. Also, moving their bodies helps their development motor skills. I highly recommend being outside as much as possible, and being conscious of how to prevent from sunburns and mosquitoes and ticks. And of course, now not being in a park full of people, just trying to be your family, and even in the backyard or front yard.
Yeah,
I think
be very conscious about it. There are a lot of instructions from the city of Ottawa and from the government where they explain how to protect yourself from ticks and sunburns and all that. Thank you, Lisiane. Obrigada.
De nada. I thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. It was very fun. And love talking to you, Claudia.
Yes, for sure. It's nice to see you in here, at least.
Yes.
My bad. And hopefully.
I miss our classes.
Yeah, I know. Face-to-face classes. Yeah, I know. So, yes. but I'm still doing it online. I know it's not exactly the same, but we're getting the best out of it.
Of
and
course.
Then for
That's
sure
great.
we'll keep connected. Yes.
Yes.
Lisi. Thank you very much. Have a lovely day. Enjoy.
Thank
your
you,
girls.
Claudia.
You're so precious. Thank you to your girls and your husband for me. And thank you very much, Lisi.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Thanks. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.